Hello and welcome to my third rotational summary of my playthrough of Strangetown. Let's get into it. First up is the Curious family. So in this round, Laszlo and Florence went on a date and they ended up falling in love. Laszlo proposed and they got engaged. Laszlo quickly moves in with Florence in Bluewater Village. Drax ages into a child. And unfortunately, Vidkun and Drax were robbed. Their hot tub was stolen. So Vidkun and Olive continue seeing each other, and it started off as like a fling, but I think they really have feelings for each other at this point. Next is the Smith family. So Jill is a romance sim, and ever since her hookup with Rip, she's really been struggling to find another partner. She went to the arcade, she's been bringing sims home from school, and she really just hasn't been hitting it off with anybody. But I have to say, her and Rip, even though he's an adult, they autonomously continue to be really good friends. I never really forced them to have any interactions, but whenever they're together on a lot, they always hang out and have a good time. So this round, Mimi ages up into a child. And at this point, we start to realize that this family is kind of in a hole when it comes to finances. Their finances aren't really improving. It's kind of really stagnant. So Jill decides to take up a hobby that might help the family out financially. She decides to get into sewing. She starts off sewing small projects like pot holders and selling them, making as much as she can. But once she really gets the hang of sewing, she's kind of starting to think that this might be a really cool career for her. Like, she could become a fashion designer and make clothes when she gets really good at sewing. Pollination Tech number 9 decides to come out of retirement and to get a part-time job to help out the family. Since in his retirement he's discovered how much he loves video games, he decides to get a part-time job in the gaming career. So while their parents are out working, Jill really steps up and really helps Mimi out a lot. At the end of this round, Jill finally has a successful romance with Jack, her schoolmate. And now we're in the Spectre household. Olive and Vidkun have another date, and they just seem so in love. Very unexpected romance, but they really grew on me as a couple. Trevor ages up into a toddler, and Ophelia has a surprise second pregnancy, which unfortunately delays her plans to start a flower stand. She was about to go on her hike. She almost made it. She was one tile away from her hike. No. And unexpectedly, Olive passes away from old age. Next is the Beaker household. And we start off with Loki losing more money at work. He breaks some equipment and owes his job 7,000 simoleons. Oh, that was all their money. Bjorn ages up into a child. And Bjorn is such a sweetie pie. He's super friendly with all of his classmates. He brings a lot of them home. Also, when we play other families, he comes home a lot with their children, and he just gets along with everybody. Now we're in the Grunt household. So now that Rip's an adult, I kind of get the vibe that he's just kind of unmotivated. He's in the slacker career, and he just stays home a lot. And honestly, his love life isn't really going that well either, especially as a romance sim. So Buzz is at the top of his career, and he does bring home coworkers a lot, but he really just does not get along with anybody. He always ends up having negative interactions with his coworkers, and I always have to send them home really quickly. But this time he brought home Matthew Picasso, and they really hit it off, which I think is kind of cute because I feel like they're really similar in a lot of ways. They have the same haircut, they have the same sense of style, they're in the same career. They're two peas in a pod, these two. Also in this round, Allegra, their cat, joins the show business career. So I guess our theme for today is our Sims not having luck with love. And ever since he aged up, Buck has had a huge crush on Jill. Anytime they're on a lot together, Buck always autonomously tries to flirt with her, and she always rejects him. And he actually rolled the want to go steady. So at this point, I think maybe he's gonna give up on Jill and he just wants to find a girlfriend. So he's looking at his phone book and he sees Kiara, his classmate, and he decides why not? Let's just give it a shot. And she agrees to come over. So after a little bumpy flirting, they have their first kiss. At the end of the night, Buck tries to propose to Kiara to go steady, but unfortunately she rejects him. So Rip invites Ophelia over for what he thinks would be an easy hookup. They have hooked up in the past, but when they were teens. But now Ophelia's married and she has a child and another one on the way. So when he tries to flirt with her, she flat out rejects him. Ooh, I did not see that coming. He got rejected. Rip, are you crazy? I'm married. I have a family. What are you doing? So now we're in the loner household, where we start off with Jay and Lola's wedding at their new condo. And for the rest of this round, they settle into their new life and progress in their careers. Now we're in the singles family, where Aaron and Tank have their wedding. So at the wedding, Kristen meets Buzz, Tank's father, and she starts plotting. So since she was rejected by Tank, she decided to invite Buzz over for a date, just as some revenge. But the date actually goes really well and they hit it off. They bond over their passion for fitness, and she actually decides to continue seeing him. And in this round, Marcus ages up into a toddler. Next up is Chloe Curious, who continues seeing her neighbor Elmer. When she realizes she's pregnant, she decides to keep the baby, but she can't fit a baby in the small motel room, so she upgrades to a bigger motel room. So late in her pregnancy, she calls over Peter Optimus for a hookup, where she gives birth to Mask, who we named after one of our viewers. So right after she has baby Mask, she hooks up with Peter. Nice, 8,000 points, that's awesome. No! I thought she was on birth control! And immediately gets pregnant. Okay, this is totally my fault. I thought I put her on birth control. But we'll just say for story purposes that she was on birth control, but it failed. So at the end of this round is when she realizes that she's pregnant for a second time, and this time she decides she can't have two babies living in this motel with her. She's gonna need to put this baby up for adoption. And so she starts the adoption process. Last up is the De La Rosa house, where we have our third wedding of the round, Laszlo and Florence's wedding. So Florence works on her flower business as Laszlo helps out when he's not teaching science. And the business is going really well. Unfortunately, Laszlo gets demoted after he brought his class to arcade, thinking it would be an interesting way to teach science to his students. Also this round, Laszlo becomes obsessed with the idea of becoming a werewolf, and he tries to befriend the leader of the pack. I'm not sure if he's going to be successful with becoming a werewolf though. And soon Florence becomes pregnant. Laszlo rolls the wand to quit his job, which tells me he wants to stay home and work on the family business with Florence, and that'll really help her out through the pregnancy and when they end up having their child. So he takes the plunge and quits his job in the science career. And that's it for this rotation. Thank you guys so much for watching. You could catch the action live on my Twitch, or you could continue watching these rotational summary videos here on YouTube. Bye!